losing a whole community and friendship group that you have built up with time and energy when you become less involved with the church is definitely not a nice feeling. So I have a question for this sculpture here. I thought it was a guy with two huge breasts, and I thought it was a little too sexual to have this sculpture here in a big park where there are lots of children playing around. And I was like, surely it's I know it's art, but surely isn't it a bit too funny to put this in a public place like this permanently? So I thought maybe I'm wrong, maybe I just have a dirty mind, maybe I should just cleanse my soul and look at this again. So I cleansed my soul and look at this again, and I thought, okay, maybe this is a guy carrying two huge bars. That makes sense, that's nice. But then the other day, so I've been thinking that this is a guy carrying two huge bars for like years. And then the other day I asked my mom what she thinks this is, and she told me, oh, it's a guy with two huge breasts. I was like, okay. Now I'm really confused. I don't know what it is. What do you think it is? Hello, it's Grace. Hello, it's Grace. Hello, it's Grace. Religion is a sensitive topic, so this is not something I want to be overly involved in on this channel, but because not many people talk about this, I want to have an open and honest conversation about this. So I guess wish me luck. What is a church nomad? A church nomad is basically somebody who is not particularly attached or committed to a particular church. And in this case, I'm talking about Christian churches. Just to put it out there, I'm not against churches. I think that they're great in bringing people together, connecting them with God. Personally, I have discovered many great churches and I still go to church from time to time. Actually, I really enjoy trying out and discovering different churches. It almost feels like a treasure hunting experience and it's fun. However, after having committed and built my entire social life from a church for the past year or so, made me realize a lot of things that often don't get talked about. And when it came to a time when I wanted to retreat from this church for a while to reflect on these things, almost all of my friendships and the feeling of community that I've been building for the past year or so just disappeared. It felt like they were only pretending to care about my life because I was in the community, and once I'm out or I want to take a break from it, they just don't care about me anymore. And this is when I see things more clearly. Who were my friends all along, who really cared about me as a person, and who were just pretending to be this holy image in their head, and acting like they cared about me but not really. I'm sorry, but who has time for fake friends anymore? I know it's not always good to have a all in and all out, a black and white attitude all the time, but for me personally, I either have friends who are gonna be there for my highs and lows and who really like me for who I am, or I'd rather have nobody. Maybe I'm being a bit dramatic. I guess I just wanted to let it out. I know when some opinion changes or some common ground changes in a friendship, you could lose friends. I'm aware of this, and I have touched upon this in another video, a previous video I've made on friendship. So I know like this can happen. It is easy to talk about this, but when you experience this in real life, it is another level of enlightenment. To be honest, it is so refreshing to find out who those people who really cared about me are, and I'm really grateful for God to bring those people into my life. Those people are the people that are worth spending my time and energy for. I guess one of the main reasons I'm quite happy being a church nomad right now is just I don't really want to spend a huge amount of time and energy and effort into a church community and feel like I've lost a huge part of my social life when I feel like I want to retreat from that church for a while. I mentioned that I learned a few things after being very involved in this church community for over a year or so, and some of those things have made me become more selective and careful about the churches I do attend frequently. I would say that my level of discernment went from 30 to 90 out of 100. I think once you have been through some toxic church cultures, you naturally become more alarmed when you experience the same toxic culture in another church, and you become less trusting in churches in general, which I actually think is a good thing, and I will talk about why in a moment. We should look at all things with discernment in today's society. It is good to have discernment. Just like we are careful with people we don't know, I also don't think we should blindly trust and believe everything a preacher says in the church or what your community leaders are saying, especially when that does not align with your heart. I mean, I could do a whole nother video just on this topic, but whether it would happen is another question. So I'm just going to mention a few things I've learned from this church experience overall. The first one is the who is holier game. Obviously, every group has leaders. That's very normal. In the church community I was in, the leaders were very looked up to by the members, and there were this culture that we should become more perfect like Jesus, and the community leaders were the example of that. And with time, the atmosphere of this group became very judgmental and strange and fake, because no one was really able to show who they are and be accepted by the community for just being a human. Obviously, I know those community leaders and some of those members are just showing their most holy sides to others, and it almost felt like the more of those holy things you do, the closer you are with God. And for the rest of the people who couldn't keep up with those holy actions, they are just less spiritual. And at some point, I also question myself, am I less than others to God because I'm not as pure and holy as others? You know, when you're in a group when nobody is questioning anything, and even if they question something, they will never voice it out loud because of fear of judgment. It can really make you question your own sanity. Man, I feel like I can become angry just by thinking about this, but I'm not going to, don't worry. I guess the lesson I learned from this is that we are all human. I'm not holier than other people, and other people are not holier than me. It is about your honest, intimate, personal relationship with God, and it has nothing to do with what other people do. We're not perfect, and although it is good to try, but even if we try, we will never become as perfect as Jesus. We all have problems, different roles to play in different situations, and different sides to our personality. And we're all at different stages of journey with God. So there's no point in comparing myself with others about this, and I don't worship any people that appear holier in people's eyes. I think the best way to stop comparing is to focus on your personal relationship with God, and naturally you will become less emotionally attached to the church community itself. Another thing I learned is that just because somebody calls themselves a Christian doesn't mean anything. Christianity is just another label anybody can put on themselves. Time is still the best medium to know the true nature of that person. I used to be very naive and thought all Christians are very nice people. They're just morally more sane than regular people, and they always do the right things. That's what I thought. That's the image I had in my mind. So I used to be able to trust someone who's labeled as a Christian way more than a regular person without any labels. But with time and experience, I found out that most Christians are not that different from the rest of the people. They are just human, very human, and they can be great, but they can also do bad things. They can also hurt like any other human would. So now I'm very careful with everyone. I don't care if you're a Christian or not. I will take my time to get to know you, get to know who you really are, and I'll follow my intuition to decide whether I want to interact with you or not. Lastly, being a Christian does not mean that your life will magically become sunshine and rainbows. This is not a lesson I learned from being in that church community, because knowing my own life, I already knew this very well. But I get very annoyed when I see outreachers trying really hard to convert people into Christianity and try to portray this image that once you become a Christian, everything will become good and rosy and all your problems will dissolve into peace and light. This is so not true. We will always have problems in our life. We may have different attitude when facing the problem, but we cannot escape the fate of human suffering. One thing that Jordan Peterson said that really stuck with me was something on the line of, suffering is the meaning of human life. Personally, I don't agree with this completely, because I wouldn't call suffering the meaning of human life. I would just consider suffering as an essential part of human growth. When it comes to the meaning of life, I think it could be something closer to the perseverance of your faith in God whilst suffering. Anyways, we're going really off track here. But ultimately, these experiences and lessons led me to where I am today, which is a church nomad life. I don't really like to label myself with anything because maybe this is just a phase. But I feel peace in this phase. I think I needed some time to be not attached to any church communities right now, and I have been really enjoying it so far. This is a very personal choice. I'm not encouraging anyone to do anything here. And again, I think churches are very beautiful. I've met some beautiful people through church, and I see the meaning of churches. But personally, I consider personal relationship or connection with God way more important than strictly attending churches every Sunday and having a social life through church. Gosh, that was long, and not gonna lie, I felt a little awkward to talk about sensitive topic like this online. I hope I don't feel the need to do another video on this topic anytime soon. I also hope that this brings some value to some of you, and hopefully see you soon. Bye. I don't know when I will upload next, but if it comes, it comes.